Hello and welcome to another edition of Focus on Morris County. I'm Joe Garifo, Public Information Officer for the Morris County Government. Focus on Morris County is a program that's designed to keep us up to date on the actions that are being taken by the Morris County Board of Freeholders. And the show is also intended to make us all more aware of the many facets of Morris County government. On this portion of the program, we are going to be discussing some county government issues with my guest. He is Morris County Freeholder Director Tom Mastrangelo. Freeholder Director Mastrangelo is a Republican from Montville who this year is in the first year of his second three-year term on the Freeholder Board. Director, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Joe. Glad to be here.
The last time you were here, which was early in the year, you had mentioned that one of your goals this year was to have the Freeholder Board adopt a budget that had a 0% tax increase. Now, that goal was reached. Actually, it's the second year in a row that that's happened. How was the board able to accomplish this?
Sure, Joe. You know, as you're aware, and as we spoke before, the Budget Committee meets all year long, looking at just about every line item in the budget, and through prioritizing, through looking at doing more with less, we've been able to really come up with a good budget, and at the same time keeping enough flexibility in that budget for any contingencies that may occur. So we additionally did reduce the open space, which actually once we hit the zero with the open space reduction, we actually hit a 0.5% reduction in the budget. So through just good fiscal management of each of our departments, department heads have been great in managing their budgets, and my hats are really off to them in assisting the county and the freeholders in accomplishing the 0%.
One of the areas I know that the Freeholder Board is concentrating on is debt reduction. Why is this a priority for the freeholders?
Yeah, Joe. Debt. It's sort of like your own home. If you could bring down your mortgage payment, you're going to have more cash on hand, and you're going to affect your own operating budget at home by doing that. So this year we've been able to reduce debt by almost $8 million, which is a great accomplishment. And actually, the county we've implemented a debt reduction plan. The county freeholders, along with the county administration, over the next 5 years, we are on a $64 million debt reduction plan. Our current debt for the county is approximately $250 million, and we believe we will accomplish that debt reduction plan. We don't foresee any big capital projects coming up for the county, so that's going to assist us as well in accomplishing that. And that will affect the debt line item, the debt service line item in the budget, and we calculate that will be about $4.5 million to $5 million a year just on that debt line item alone. So as you bring your debt down, you affect your operating budget in a positive way, and it allows you to really stabilize that tax rate, keeping it at zero, as we've done over the last 2 years.
Yeah. Now, in June, the two of the largest bond rating agencies in the nation reaffirmed Morris County's AAA bond rating. The county went out to refinance some bonds, had its AAA bond rating reaffirmed. Why should the taxpayers be aware of this? Why is this AAA rating important to the taxpayer?
Well, Joe, it's important as a taxpayer because it keeps the interest rate low on anything we do borrow. And we do have a capital plan where we will go out and borrow for a certain amount of bonding. So it allows us to keep our rate low. It also allows our improvement authority to keep their rate low, so any municipalities who have capital projects and want to utilize the improvement authority will borrow at a very, very low rate. What we're able to do this year, because we did get the AAA bond rating, as you mentioned, we were able to through refunding of $5.8 million in bonds that were refunded, we reduced our cost by $323 million. So that's a big number. So we're reducing debt, we're reducing our cost of our current debt, and through refunding and through other mechanisms. And it's important to the taxpayer because it helps us get to that zero.
Now, we're talking about reducing capital projects, but we should also note that this is not at the expense of the county's infrastructure. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, the county has increased, in fact, they did it twice, I believe, this year, increased the funding for road repaving, resurfacing, pothole filling.
Right.
Why is this an important area for the freeholders? Why the increase here?
Well, number one, the county taxpayers, they drive on the roads. You and I drive on the roads, and whether it's potholes or roads that are in bad shape, people notice that stuff right away. I notice that stuff right away. So typically, we on average we paved about 17 miles of roads per year. We have 300 miles of roads in this county. It costs roughly $300,000 per mile to pave roads. After this harsh winter, we took a look at what we had to do to really step up in repaving. And after meeting with a number of mayors, going out to a number of towns, and meeting with engineers and doing actual tours of their towns to take a look at the roads, we stepped it up to 22 miles. After we stepped it up to 22 miles, after further analysis, further evaluation of those roads, we decided to step it up to 33 miles of roads. So we went from 17 on average over over the last 5 years to 33 miles of roads for 2014. Projects are underway. What we also have done is we bought 3 hot boxes, which is helps in the. It's a tool. It's a device that helps us in the pothole filling, and we got very aggressive with potholes. And I think we've done a great job. I think the roads department has done an excellent job in addressing, the repair of those potholes. So we're proud of the fact that we've been able to address this road situation, and we'll continue to do that, not just this year, but next year, and really step it up. And the important part of that is we've did not affect the budget at all. We've been able to maintain that zero because of the flexibility that we do have in the budget.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned just a few minutes ago hearing from local officials. Now, I know you and several other freeholders have been going out to council meetings, committee meetings, talking about the county budget. You've also held mayors' meetings where you've invited the mayors in. What is the importance of letting the local officials know what the county is doing, and then on the other side, from hearing from the local officials, what some of their concerns are? Why is that important to you as the director?
Well, it's important to me because elected officials want to know what their county government is doing in their respective towns, whether it be roads, whether it be health services, whether it be law and public safety services. They need to understand, especially on the roads this year, they really need to understand what the plan is for their town, what the schedule looks like, so when they get questions from their residents within their towns, they've got those answers. Myself and Freeholder Scapicchio, last year we started the mayor meetings where we brought the mayors into, and council, and the business administrators into the county. We set up several days of meetings for different townships, and we accomplished a lot. We found out what their issues are, what their questions were, and we got back to them with the resolutions, and I think they like the interaction with the county.
You've also gotten mayors and local officials involved more involved in the work that's done by the Chamber of Commerce, the Economic Development Corporation. What was your thought there of getting the local officials involved in these county business agencies?
Yeah, Joe, I'm the liaison to the Economic Development Corporation, to the Chamber of Commerce, and I was sitting with Paul Boudreau one day, and I said, "Gee, Paul, have you ever brought the mayors in for economic development summits where we can get them together to kind of understand what they're doing in their respective towns, or an exchange of ideas between the mayors, so they can look at what their economic development will be or could be?" And Paul said, "Hey Tom, that's a great idea." So what we wound up doing is on a quarterly basis, we bring the mayors in. Actually, now we actually changed the name of it from mayors to the Municipal Chamber Alliance.
Yeah. Not to exclude any of the other local officials who may not be a mayor.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So councils and business administrators, and it's a great exchange of ideas. We just had a session last week where we had several of the mayors in and several BAs, and they're really looking at their towns, because we've got to continue to economic develop in this county, and we've got to make sure we not only retain who we have, but how we recruit, how we redevelop some areas and some municipalities for the changing dynamics and the changing demographics of the county.
Now, and some of their concerns may not be able to be addressed at the county level, but maybe at the state level. But by being an elected county official, I would imagine that you would have the ears of those state representatives, so you could bring the mayor's concerns back to the state legislators.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point, Joe. In this last session, we had a fellow by the name of Noel McGuire, who works for the Business Action Center down in Trenton, that is led by Lieutenant Governor Kim Guadagno, and that's very helpful in progressing the economic development agenda for the county and for the towns. So that's a very good asset to us.
Yeah. Well, Director Mastrangelo, I want to thank you very much for being with us. I know in terms of county government issues, we have really only scratched the surface, but I'm sure you'll be back soon to discuss some of the issues that we were not able to get to today. I want to thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you, Joe. I appreciate it.
Now, if you have a question about county government, perhaps, again, as I say, a question about an issue that we were not able to discuss during this portion of the program, you can call the Morris County Freeholders Office at 973-285-6010. And in terms of getting county government news, why don't you visit the county government website, morriscountynj.gov. When you're there, you can sign up for the county's electronic newsletter. That will give you news straight to your inbox. And also, while you're there, check out the many social networking sites that the county embraces, including Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Scribd, which is our document library, and Flickr. I'm Joe Garifo. Thank you very much for being with us. But don't go away, because we will be right back.
Are you pregnant, scared, or a new mother who can't care for your newborn?
There's a safe haven in New Jersey.
You or a friend can bring an infant to any hospital or police station and give up custody safely, legally, and anonymously.
No questions asked. No shame, no blame, no names.
Call 1-877-839-2339 or visit njsafehaven.org to learn more. Remember,
New Jersey has a safe haven for unwanted infants.
Brought to you by the New Jersey Department of Children and Families.
Welcome back to Focus on Morris County. I'm Joe Garifo, and on this segment of the program, we are going to learn about the Morris County Division of Mosquito Control. And here to talk about the division and let us know some of the activities that the division is involved with is my guest. He is Chris McMorland. Chris is the superintendent of the Division of Mosquito Control here in Morris County, the division being part of the county's Department of Planning and Public Works. Chris, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Joe.
I was on the division's website earlier today, and it says that the division carries on a program of integrated pest management in its efforts to control the mosquito population. What exactly is integrated pest management?
Well, integrated pest management, as the name implies, is a technique using multi-approaches to control the mosquitoes in Morris County. Now, what we do at the Division of Mosquito Control is we do what we call water management, which means we're trying to minimize the time surface water is present so that the mosquitoes don't have the opportunity to utilize it. What we also do is we do a very massive surveillance program, meaning that we keep an eye on the numbers of mosquitoes, both nuisance and disease. We use biological control to help control the mosquitoes, mainly the Gambusia finis, which is the mosquito-eating fish, but we use some other types of fishes also. We do a lot of public education events. Just about every weekend we're out doing something, or we have traveling displays that go to various municipalities. And then of course we use, we do use insecticidal control as part of any good program would.
Yeah. Let's look at some of those areas that you just mentioned. I noticed that you used nuisance mosquitoes and disease-transmitting mosquitoes. What is the difference between the two?
Well, the nuisance mosquitoes are the ones that are ruining your backyard time, or if you're trying to go to a park and there's just so many of them that you're really not enjoying yourself. They tend to come out, in mass after big rainfall events and such, especially if you happen to live along some of the river systems. They are what they say, they're just nuisance mosquitoes. They're not really implicated in any kind of disease transmission. They just make your life kind of miserable for the time being. The disease-carrying mosquitoes are the ones that are mainly implicated. Here, we're dealing a lot with West Nile virus for the most part, but I mean, there are other diseases out there, not necessarily in Morris County at the moment, or will be, but they are in the state of New Jersey. So the surveillance for both of these mosquitoes is slightly different. When we're doing for nuisance mosquitoes, we're generally looking at light traps, which are just basically a cylinder with a light, and the mosquito they fly towards it and they get collected. And we're looking for numbers and population trends and how they're migrating out of their habitats. It gives us an idea of what we need to do in order to control them. When it comes to disease mosquitoes, it's a totally different trapping mechanism. We usually use what we call a gravid trap. We're trying to collect live, for the most part, it's Culex pipiens or Culex species of mosquitoes. And when they come to lay their eggs, we collect them live, and then we end up freezing them and submitting them to the state for testing for virus presence. We'll use that, and then we'll also use what they call a CDC trap, and it's basically a dry ice baited trap that mimics respiration, and that draws them to. And again, we'll collect them alive. So the nuisance mosquitoes, we're just looking for numbers, and we kind of have an idea when we start getting a lot of phone calls. We've got a lot of nuisance mosquitoes going, and diseases.
Now what happens if the results from the state come back positive for a disease? What then does the Division of Mosquito Control do in this, in this regard?
When we come, say we can come back with some positive mosquitoes. Basically, first and foremost, what we do is we always work with the local health department. We let them know so that we can have more eyes out on the street. Then we will go around to the particular neighborhood or the location where the trap was set. First and foremost, we're going to look for habitat, and we're going to try to do some source reduction or elimination of habitat. Because if we go and we discover there's a lot of containers around, we're going to try to empty them or get the health department to help us to get somebody to clean up the neighborhood. With that being said, we also then will schedule some kind of treatment. We want to try to break that cycle in that vicinity. Do you get them all? No, but as long as we can reduce the numbers enough where the transmission of the virus is minimalized against, what's going to impact the residents, then that's our basic operation.
Now, I understand that the Morris County Division of Mosquito Control from time to time will partner with the state and conduct aerial spraying in certain areas. How does that work? How does that partnership work?
How's that partnership work? No, that's a good question. Yes, basically what happens is we have so many floodplain areas along the rivers, mainly along the Passaic, the Rockaway and the Whippany being the three big ones, that when it floods out, it's physically impossible for us to actually treat the areas by hand on the ground. So what we've created over the last umpteenth years is a partnership where the state Office of Mosquito Control Coordination, which is part of the NJDEP, will basically fund us a helicopter for us to use. We basically supply the manpower and we supply the insecticide and knowledge as to where it needs to be done. And it's a great partnership. It's a big cost savings to the taxpayers in Morris County because, you know, at a couple $1,000s an hour, the helicopter is not cheap to use. What it enables us to do is actually control mosquitoes in a very large areas. So again, you're not going to get them all. You know, we will have mosquitoes even despite the fact we do this, but it will minimize the impact and maybe allow us to get it under control in a more timely fashion.
The Division of Mosquito Control in Morris County, that can really be considered a shared service, correct? The county providing these services to the 39 municipalities in the county.
Absolutely, yeah. We're responsible. We go in every municipality.
Yeah.
You know, we don't worry necessarily about municipal borders or whatever. We'll do jobs like water management jobs. We'll do surveillance in every municipality. You know, some are obviously going to get a little bit more service. It's just the nature of where their municipality is located.
Yeah.
You know, if you happen to be around a lot more mosquito habitat, that's where we're going to be.
What about homeowners? Is there anything a homeowner can do around his or her property to control mosquitoes in their general vicinity?
Absolutely. Homeowners are actually a big partner of ours, and we love when we have homeowner buy-in on mosquito control. The trick with mosquitoes, and what the pendulum swings on, is water. You know, they need water in their juvenile life stage to grow. So if you can go through your yard and eliminate any water sources, and I'm talking about like the kiddie pool that's not being used anymore, toys. I've seen them even breeding in bottle caps. So I mean, you really have to be careful as to what you think constitutes a vessel of water, and eliminate those sources. If you have stuff that you need to have water in, bird bath. I have a bird bath in my own house. You just need to make sure you clean it and change it. You should be doing that anyway for the birds, but I mean, if you're doing it every 4 or 5 days, you're not going to have a mosquito problem out of it. Another big one is gutters. I mean, most people don't think about them, but however, I've gone to plenty service requests where there's a small tree growing out of the gutter. It means it's probably clogged, probably holding water. Again, you're creating your own issue. Majority of the time, those mosquitoes that utilize that habitat are only going to stay right around your area. So if you are eliminating those sources, you're probably helping yourself out more than anything. And if you can get your neighbors to do it, even better.
Yeah. The Division of Mosquito Control has a website that contains a lot of information that our viewers should really be aware of. Give us examples of some of the information that is on that website. And by the way, we're going to give you the web address in just a few minutes.
Okay, great. Yeah, no, the website is a wealth of knowledge. It has a lot of stuff that I've just been talking about. You know, our operation, what we do, the Integrated Pest Management Program. It has a lot of information on the insecticides and the types of insecticides that we use, because we do have larval and adult control, their various products. The one thing that I really like is we do have a blogger section where we post actually where we're going to be doing any adult mosquito control, and the residents actually have the ability to subscribe to that. It'll email it to them automatically, so you don't have to keep checking the web page once you subscribe to it. It's updated very routinely, especially in the summertime, and we try to give as much leeway as possible for all of our adult deciding applications, whether we're going to be on the street or in the woods or wherever.
Yeah.
No matter how small, I try to put it on there just so they know where we're going to be.
Is it true, and I've heard this, I don't know how true it is, that some people may be more susceptible to being bitten by mosquitoes than others? I know in my house, my wife can go outside, not a bite on her. I'll go outside, and a few minutes later, I'm full of welts.
Yeah.
Is there any truth to that?
I don't know. There's a lot of anecdotal stuff, but yeah, I suppose you know, depending upon like maybe your cologne or whatever you have on, you know, and some people are just sweeter than others. You know?
Well, thank you, Chris. I'll pass that on to my wife.
Yes.
I'll let my wife know. Chris, why don't you give us the contact information for the Division of Mosquito Control, and also the website, which, as we said, contains an awful lot of information, useful information for you.
Yes, absolutely. By all means, call 973-285-6450. And more importantly, too, check our webpage, which is www.morrismosquito.org. And you also have the ability to send email requests into us, but call. I mean, that's how we find out about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, okay, very good. The number again, 285-6450, and the web address again for the Division of Mosquito Control is morrismosquito.org. Chris McMorland, I want to thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you.
And giving us some useful information about the efforts here in Morris County to control the mosquito population. Now, if you have a question about county government that you would like to have answered, you can call the Morris County Freeholders Office at 973-285-6010. You can also visit the county government's website at morriscountynj.gov. And by the way, there is a link to the Division of Mosquito Control on the county government website. And once you're there on the website, you can sign up for the county's electronic newsletter, Morris County Connections, and you can also visit the county government's social networking sites, which include Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Scribd, and Flickr. I'm Joe Garifo. I want to thank you very much for being with us and invite you to tune in again next week at this time for another edition of Focus on Morris County.